came to the fatherhood and the fatherhood journey. And it's not that, you beat yourself up. You don't do that at all. It's just that as a parent, sometimes we have an expectation of how we may want our children to act or to perform or things of that nature. So when they may not fulfill that thought that where we think they should be, that can bring about a level of frustration, or it can bring about just like a level of anxiety of what we can be doing wrong. Yeah. So for me, I had, or we can bring about a sense of pride because we can say to ourselves, I've done everything right. Why can't you just do? Right. So for me, who tends to lead more of a prideful sense, and I work in the practice of humility, I had to acknowledge that, okay, what I might have done for him or the technique I might have done for him might not have worked for him. So I may have to take a step back, rearrange things, and then present it to him in a way to where not that I'm giving him something, I'm presenting an opportunity for him to take something. See, there's a difference there. There's a difference. See, when you're giving something to someone, there's no opportunity to take it because I gave it to you. Yeah. But when I present an opportunity for you to take of your own, that means you have to have the cognitive understanding that this is something that I want for me, and let me grab it and bring it into myself.
So as you say that, just so it's like real simple, what exactly are you describing? Like the give and take type of.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out a way to say that in a way. When I communicate with my children, I provide opportunities more than I provide directions. Okay. So the opportunity is for them to get an understanding, and then they can grow in their wisdom, where the direction is more so do as I say.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And what it does is it allows me to tailor my father, for first off, having a really strong support system is important in that, Taylor. So working with, the Buffalo Fatherhood Initiatives and the groups in which we've worked, that helped me grow. I would tell my kids all the time, I don't go there to tell them what type of good dad that I am. I go there because I need to be able to learn this stuff so I can bring it back to y'all. Right. So it's really just being, and I say all of these things when it comes to providing opportunities and support voting and having a strong support system is the practice of humility and being willing to learn and grow.
Yeah. The practice of humility, it's huge, because a lot of times I struggle. I don't like to say we, even though other men do struggle with it, but sometimes I struggle with having the humility to say, I'm sorry, or I was wrong. I shouldn't have did that. The other day I was with my kids and my daughter did something to my son. Like she put her feet in his face or something like that. And I'm like, man, don't do that. And when she's 3, so there's things that she just does. She don't understand her own strength. She don't, and she's developing and growing. It's just certain things she don't understand. But I overreacted. I overreacted. She cried, and I had to take a step back and apologize and embrace her. And I'm really learning that from my wife, because I'm just not naturally affectionate and stuff. So I'm learning. That's the humility part, right?
Yeah. Because one thing we got to do is we got to acknowledge that there's not one person in this world that's humble. No. Humility is a practice. You see, the thing is that when we understand that, we understand that pride is a practice. Pride is something that was developed over time. A baby, when it comes out of the womb, is only know a few things. Knows how to suck, know how to cry, know how to, poop, pee, things of that nature. So these learned behaviors, if we understand that they're practices, and then we try to encourage ourselves or challenge ourselves to take on these practices, it leaves room for us to just realize that I don't ever have to be humble a day in my life. I just have to practice a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you talked about your relationship with your son and your daughter.
I didn't even get on the baby. I got a 3-year-old too. I didn't even get on him yet.
Oh,
that's a whole nother. Because it was because I had another boy, and it really brought full circle. Because this time I got to be there for the times that I missed with my first son. So I had to first acknowledge when my wife was pregnant, we had to work through the trauma of my son, because he's going to see his little brother get everything that he didn't get. So we enrolled him in counseling, and we began to prepare him as my wife was pregnant. That listen, this is what's going to happen, and you didn't get anything less because I wasn't there. And same thing for my daughter. But secondly, with my son, my younger son, Like I got to spoil him. I got to do all the things that I didn't do about. So he's just he's spoiled, but he does it does give me an opportunity to really like reconnect with my children because my two boys, they're 8.5 years apart, but they look just alike.
Okay.
Like it's like we had the same baby twice. Their baby pictures, you put them side by side, like just alike. So so when I see my children, it's like going through a time warp. It's like, oh, okay, where am I?
Yeah.
And but it gives me a reason to practice humility. So I'm trying to push it back to you in your next question because I'm just rambling now.
All right, I totally forgot you had so we both. I got a 3-year-old too. My
Mhm.
daughter's. All right, so we talked about your fatherhood journey, like transition and what that was like. So talk to us about, because of all of the things that you had to fight through, where you are today. I know you got the master's degree, you got your own business, Brothers of Thunder Entertainment, and you like a low key a preacher and all this stuff. Like talk to us about where you are today, and just the impact that you're making, and then also the work that you're doing around fatherhood within working with incarcerated fathers.
The one thing I love to do is one thing I love to understand is that when I'm not in the limelight, it gives me way more opportunity to get the work done. So and that allows me to impact my community.
Yeah.
So starting with working with incarcerated folks, I got to go into my story and what that was looking like for a while. So when I was presented with the opportunity, I was truly humbled and excited because I got to really put an impact on some, on people that like I've been in that situation. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, you ever been to somewhere you could tell a person just read a book or they saw a movie on something that they were talking about and they didn't realize what was going on.
Mhm.
So bringing that level of authenticity was just like exciting for me. So the first couple of groups, I was a little nervous just because I was like, man, I don't know if these guys really going to, hear what we have to say, but we got a great team. Terry is he's an individual that I even when I'm not around him, I look to him in the community because he just got so much wisdom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I get to hear like someone who's like a generational leader, father, grandfather, all that stuff, and really get to just like work on hear what it's like for somebody who may be grouchy to really what it is they got to work through and not get caught in their own head. And I'm bringing up my team here for a reason, y'all, because it's going to show the impact that we have on the men. Mike is like a firecracker, man. Like he just like his energy is like unmatched. Like it's unmatched. And being able to work in that space and work in that energy just really gave me an opportunity to like really like push passion. You understand what I'm saying? Like Mike pushes passion. Like it's crazy. So I said all that to say as far as my team, because I always want to give them a shout out on any platform that I'm on. But when we're working with men who are separated from their children and don't have, have very limited contact from their children, but they also have the opportunity and the space to work on some of the tools. So when they reconnect with their children, what can they do? Some of our men are going upstate. Like we have men that's, looking at, up to 10 years, and being gone for 10 years. And, when they come home, their child is going to be essentially an adult.
Yeah.
So, helping them with the tools and on how they can connect now and, prepare their child for this journey. Cause we work in the holding center. We work with, Erie County Holding Center. The state is another beast. So being able to prepare men for that. And then there's the men who don't have that long journey, who will be able to reconnect with their children relatively soon. We want to, how do we encourage and be a support to them so when they come home, they can stay in their kids' lives? Yeah. One of the things that, that many of the men acknowledged before was now that they had the time to sit down and they realized how much of an absentee father they were, and they wanted to make that change, So I think of my buddy James in the last group. James was one of our younger fathers. And James, if you see this, shout out to you, man. But he was one of our younger fathers that who had the crazy, situation with the mother of his children and all of that stuff. And he was really adamant about, he only had a little bit of time left on how he was going to use this stuff when he get home to try to communicate with them that though they're not in a relationship, he has to still be there for these kids.
Right.
And so far it was working for him over the phone. His mom was able to get like his kids together, and he was able to talk to them both at the same time. But we want to hope for and pray for sustainability in that, because that's the goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we get off of that topic, and we really appreciate you for doing this work, because one of the things that we realized early on when we were approached to support fathers in that way was that I don't have that lived experience. And as you mentioned in the beginning, like there's only so much book and theory that you're going to talk to somebody before they're like, man, like I need somebody that I can relate to, right? Like I can only go so far. And because we like to be sensitive and aware of people's circumstances or their just even their mindsets, sometimes like we need an expert, right? Like, so we look to you as our, fatherhood expert in that regards. And not to put, a ton of pressure on you, but you do what you do very well. And I know that our whole team has a lot of respect for you, as it relates to this work.
Thank you. And I'm really humbled by that. Our team is great. It's can't be, and this is an important message. I saw in your LinkedIn, that you have yourself listed as a fatherhood practitioner. That changed my outlook on all of this work, because remember, talking about humility being a practice. Fatherhood is this, and I'm like, yes. And so following you and in your work as you lead, because and I don't mean to put a whole bunch of pressure on you and things of that nature.
A lot of pressure on me, man.
Nah, not doing that, because we're your support. Nah, we're not doing that at all. But the person who is that I like to look to has designated you as the person who leads this part of the journey for however long that you're there. So to be able to follow that, it's been humbling. I talk about my education, but my master's is in leadership and innovation with a concentration in business. But I like to say that I have a bachelor's in followership. Because in order to be able to lead, you must first know how to follow. And you came in and with a program from the ground up, not having no kids. Like, oh my God. So now and then I see your journey in the community and the impact. We're talking about potential new partnerships or opportunities to where we can connect with different fathers and just be a support.
Yep.
That's it.
But can you talk a little bit about your education? So I know you're a super humble guy.
Yeah.
Right? You don't like to talk about the credentials, but I think it's important for men who may not feel like, man, I've been incarcerated for X amount, a number of years, and I don't know what it looks like for me to complete the GED or the bachelor's or the master's or get some sort of apprenticeship. Like, how can I get to the other side after having had an experience like being incarcerated? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Prior to I got May, I got incarcerated in July of 2012. May of 2012, I got my associate's degree from ECC. So I had that part of my journey done prior. So when I came home and I was on parole, I knew that I couldn't be good. It's just been through too much. I had to be great. And part of being great was, trying to push myself and to do things differently. So I was the assistant general manager at Jim Steakout Chippewa location at the time. And I said, which colleges in the area has a free application fee? Because I'm broke. And so I went on the computer at Jim's and I came upon Damon and then I just, what it was you can't be afraid to fill out the application. That's the hardest part, because when you get to that box, when they ask you, that is the hardest part. I promise you, that's the hardest part. So as long as you can just submit it and let it go, and then be willing to go through the process, you will give yourself every opportunity you need.
And when you say that box, you mean when they ask about you?
Have you ever been convicted of a felony? You just gotta answer it and move on. Because at the end of the day, normally 9 times out of 10 on the application, there's questions after that.
Yeah.
So just answer the question for what it is, and move on.
And when you say answer the question, you mean answer the question honestly.
Honestly.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Let me say that. Because I don't want to try to put anyone on the blast or on the spot or anyone, but just answer it. Boop, boop, boop. And when you answer it, don't hold on to that fear. Yeah. Because it's False evidence appearing real.
Mm.
So it's like, and then a book that I like to read says, I wasn't given that spirit. I was given the spirit of power, love, and a sound mind, what I equate to be courage. So, yeah. And once you get past that and you get to that submit piece, that's it. And then when you get into school, or because ECC, I would encourage any person to start there. If the merit program was at ECC when I was going, I would enrolled, and then I finished that with honors. That stuff wasn't around when I was there. I had to go through that academic part of my process all by myself. I was going to school from 8 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock in the evening while living at a homeless shelter while fighting a criminal case. So it was just so many reasons for me to focus on school. That's why. But when I got to Damon, it was different. I had children. I was older. I wasn't 21 or 18. I felt like I was 28. I'm like, oh, I'm about to go into class and sit with babies. I was in an economics class, and one of the young ladies, God bless her, it was economics of inequality, and she said, we were talking about what food stamps are. She looked at me, she said, what is food stamps? I said, oh, you have truly been blessed. So it's like, being in Damon is a private institution here in Western New York. So it's just like, a lot of that crowd had, the majority of that crowd had that understanding.
Yeah.
So it was like being older, having the experience of being incarcerated, then having children. It was like, oh, how I'm going to get through this. But because I wasn't afraid, it provided the ultimate opportunity. Me being a non-traditional student, I got to take my kids to class with me sometimes. So my kids were 5 and 6 sitting in the college class with me, and and then there were opportunities to where like I got to fill in the gap for the students who didn't understand because I had that lived experience when they didn't.
Right.
So it actually worked out for me networking wise. My professors were phenomenal. They knew of my incarceration, so so it wasn't like I had to keep that secret. I just got to go there and be me and grow.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated with my bachelor's, I started a job. I was an education coordinator where you and I met at the Buffalo City Mission, which like I said, when I was working on my associates, I was at the homeless shelter. So I was like, oh man, this is full circle. I don't got to do anything else, and whatever the case may be. But I was introduced to my master's program because the program director came into my bachelor's level course, and she did a presentation, and she was speaking my natural language. And it was a language where no one understood me. And I was like, finally. And I was like, but I got all this going on. I don't know if I can do it again. God bless her, Christina Coyle, I love you. This is the best decision I made. She reached out, she said, Jamal, are you sure? Because we're about to have a cohort start in a few weeks. And I was like, I have to take this opportunity while it's here.
Yeah.
And I jumped into it, and I got my master's, and yeah. So I went 4 years straight.
Wow. That's super cool. That's super. So we only have a couple minutes left. Want to make sure that this has been a really good conversation, by the way. I just appreciate you being here and blessing us with all your wisdom and life experiences. And I know you help somebody else out there. Let's talk a little bit about Father's Day coming up. Father's Day coming up. You reminded me of that. I'm like, man, how in the world? I'm the fatherhood practitioner, right? I done forgot. One of the things you like alluded to or talked about this word practice and different things like that. And Sherman would say sometimes that it's a practice, it's not a perfect. And I love that statement because man, it truly is. Like I don't know that we ever like truly perfect any particular thing. We just keep improving and getting better and better.
So how can somebody ever be humble?
Yeah.
How can everyone? You know what I'm saying? How can someone ever be prideful? You know what I'm saying? Because it's all a practice, and I definitely agree with you. Now, as far as tomorrow, Father's Day, I am truly just going to. The morning we're going to play games all day. We have Monopoly. We have Deal or No Deal because we do game night every week. But okay. I asked them, can we do this for me?
Father's Day.
Yeah, for Father's Day after church. But we're just going to play games, and then I love waffles and I love breakfast for dinner. So I am going to make and I love to cook. So it's not that my wife won't do it or she wouldn't do it, but I asked her, would it be okay if I did it? If I got to make breakfast for dinner. So we're going to do waffles, eggs, bacon, and stuff like that. Just because, I'm very thankful for the gifts that they get me. They're going to get me something. I don't know what it is. Very thankful for that. But I know what it's like to be away from them on Father's Day. So I need to be able to for whatever random reason, just hug one of my children. And as long as I can do that, I'm successful with it.
Wow, your answer a lot better than mine. So
Don't say that.
I don't cook, and so my wife has volunteered. I didn't even ask to make breakfast, and she gonna hook up some waffles too. She do.
Come on.
Man, she do a lot of stuff from scratch, and I so appreciate that. God really blessed me.
Yes, it is. Yes, it does.
But you know, one of the things that I get hung up on Father's Day sometimes is like, man, we don't get the same recognition as moms.
Hello.
Like, man, listen, my wife was talking about Mother's Day 3 months before Mother's Day showed up. I'm like, why are you talking about Mother's Day right now?
I had my Mother's Day gift 3 months before just because I know this conversation gonna come up.
People know. People know. And I have family members, I ain't gonna say no names, that get upset if you don't get them the right thing or say the right thing, get the right car on Mother's Day.
That's
now,
right.
Father's Day comes.
Take this tie.
Everybody's relaxed, get a tie. You go out there and barbecue in the back. I was listening to a gentleman yesterday. He was like, yeah, my family want me to barbecue. I don't feel like barbecuing. And sometimes we just want to chill, right? We don't want to have to barbecue.
We ain't got no football. We ain't got nothing.
Yeah, none of that this time.
We got nothing.
Basketball. Yeah.
Nothing. Can we chill?
Yeah,
we chill?
Just want to relax.
Come on.
But no, in all seriousness, happy Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to you
out there. This episode is going to premiere a little sooner, so you'll be hearing this a little later. But June is actually also Men's Health Month. So for all of you men out there who have not gone to your doctor's appointments, not checked up on your health, apart from something major happening, go take care of yourselves. Why? Because when you're healthy, your children are healthy. Studies show that when us as fathers, we take care of our health and we're doing what we're supposed to do, that our kids are more likely to receive the health care and all the support that they need. And I'm kind of borderline hypocrite because I haven't been to the doctor since post COVID, but I just went a couple of weeks ago, which is why I can say this with some confidence right now. But no, seriously, no, our health is important.
Yeah, we got to learn how to just want to be healthy.
Yeah,
that it's okay to just want to be healthy. It's not we don't like talking about ourselves. We don't like to be in the center of attention. We don't like to be made a fuss about. But it is good to be healthy.
That's right. That's right. Listen, this has been a really great episode. Feel blessed and honored to have you here. I hope that we can continue to partner and collaborate with you.
For sure.
Forward. And for those of you who are listening to this, please hit that subscribe button, as my man Sherman would say. Man, because of the late Jerry Springer that recently passed, Sherman would say, take care of yourselves and each other.